What's up, everybody? Armchair Quarterbacks here for another Week 5 recap. This time we've got Dear Lord Baby Jesus versus My Chubb is Broken. That's Mike versus Manny. Taking a look at Mike's team here, this week he started Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, Hunter Henry, Miles Sanders, and Christian Kirk. So taking a look here, what did you like with Mike's team this week, Shawn?
Two things stand out. I guess we'll talk about the first one out of order. Look at DJ Moore here. Pretty much won his entire week here.
Yep.
DJ Moore won Mike's entire week just on this one game right here on Thursday. Just a crazy game there. Especially against Washington too, because in my matchup previews I was saying that compared to the Broncos, Washington had a better defense, and for whatever reason, I don't know if they I mean, it looks like they all fell asleep. They thought it was Chicago. They thought it was going to be a stroll in the park, and there's that saying, any given Sunday. That's not just there for shits and giggles. That's a real thing. These guys are all pros, and if you're sleeping, watch out.
Yeah, they'll take advantage.
You're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah.
I mean, this monster game here, 10 targets. You think he would have more than 10 targets? I mean, I think it was your Puka Nakua. I think that was, or who was it that we talked about in one of the other recaps? And it was like 19 targets. Is that Tyreek?
Yeah, I think it was Tyreek. Oh no,
one of those
Jamar
players.
Chase. It was Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase monster game. So you look at that game versus this game, that was 19 targets. You look at DJ Moore here, 10 targets, 8 receptions, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
So those cornerbacks, those safeties, everyone on Washington were they're just falling asleep. I don't know what they were doing. There was misassignments, coverage.
Besides the horrible defense up against DJ Moore, just looking at his stat line here, not thinking about defense. 8 receptions, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. That is so freaking efficient. And it's crazy. Like, I mean, for sure, like, we have to take defense into account because that's why his efficiency was so high. And I do remember seeing like at least one play where I think it was like he was running down the sideline. He made it 40 yards or something like that, and he was wide open. And I think that was one of the plays that ended up being a touchdown for him.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
something
look at this.
Crazy.
He averaged almost 30 yards per catch. 30. So I don't know what they're doing. Washington fell asleep on that one.
Sure.
Looking here at Jalen Hurts, I was super high on Jalen Hurts in our draft. I thought it was going to be Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. It was a toss-up for me, and I wanted one of those stacks. Mike goes with a stack here with Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. When Devonta Smith hasn't been performing, it's been all Jalen Hurts. But 28 points, just phenomenal. We've kind of expected that from him. That's what he does. The talk of this season has been the tush push with him, or the brotherly
shove, yeah.
The brotherly shove, as they say. But if you look at this, I knew this was going to be a high scoring game. I thought this was going to be one of my, this was going to be my game of the week. If not, it was Minnesota and Kansas City. But I for sure thought this one was, just because of how well Sean McVay's been having them play, or the Rams play. Look at those 72 rushing yards. That's amazing right there by itself. So yeah, rushing yard, 72 rushing yards plus the rushing touchdown. Jalen Hurts is just a beast, man.
Agreed.
Just say this with Devonta Smith, man. I mean, I'm waiting for his squeaky wheel game. if you look at his games here, he got seven. Let's see, from week 1, 7 receptions, 4 receptions, 4 receptions, 7 receptions, and then 1 reception. So he's getting some receiving work. He's getting the targets too, 10, 5, 5, 9, 5. The targets are there. I don't know. He's not, maybe the past 3 weeks we're kind of waiting for the touchdowns. The yardage hasn't been there as much. It's been a lot of AJ Brown, DeAndre Swift, and Jalen Hurts. So
I know for
we're still waiting for
Smith. I know for Smith, I've seen a lot of his targets be more like the play breaks down, kind of looking for the scramble player. But for sure, he needs to. He might not be saying anything in the locker room. He might be saying something, but he definitely needs that squeaky wheel game for sure.
I don't say anything. I think the kid is, he's not. I don't think he's a diva like some of those other guys that'll, pout, especially if they're winning.
Right. Yeah.
But so we'll see. It's kind of funny that in the draft everyone was thinking he was going to be the one to take over, and AJ Brown was going to be kind of taking a backseat. That just shows how great AJ Brown is.
Yep.
Looking at CMC here, San Fran didn't need to do much here. Quiet game for him with 12 points. Blowout against Dallas here. And Dallas doesn't look right now.
They did not look good in that game. It was very unfortunate. I was hoping for more of a, not necessarily a high scoring game, but at least a back and forth game with Dallas and San Fran.
Yeah.
But oh man,
they're definitely missing they're definitely missing Kellen Moore, because that was one of the main concerns for, if you're drafting Tony Pollard, or if you're drafting CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott, or even when the hype was on Brandon Cooks as a number 2, how is this offense going to look with Mike McCarthy instead of Kellen Moore? And now we see how Dallas looks versus, your Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and the Chargers with Kellen Moore. So they're definitely missing that. CMC didn't need to do much because Dallas isn't so good right now with their offense. So quiet game for him. You have Monty here, 21 points. Just an efficient. Dan Campbell is using Monty as, even when Jahmyr Gibbs was there, and Monty was out, Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't getting those, just those every down backs, but Montgomery is. So this guy is completely solid. Mike ended up finding some gold here with Montgomery.
I agree for sure. Quick peek here at Mike's bench.
He's going to need more depth on his bench.
He does need some more depth. We saw that. We talked about the Cole Kmet pickup through our text messages. Interesting pickup for sure. It's a hype pickup with Chicago playing so well. Justin Fields especially playing so well. So we'll see how this pans out. But the last 2 games, actually, there's only been 1 game that Cole Kmet has had less than 5 targets. So I think I think Cole Kmet, it's a decent pickup, but I don't know. We'll see. He's not like the kind of tight end that fights for yards.
I'll just say this one final thing on Mike's team, and you're mentioning tight ends. At this point, unless you have Sam Laporta, it's just Russian roulette with poo. That's it for tight ends.
Yeah.
Even Travis Kelce, he's hurt right now, but even when he was healthy, he's only scoring 10 points. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, and just some advice for anybody. Fantasy football tight end position has always been like that. If you don't have like the top 3, you're streaming. You're dropping players left and right, adding players left and right every week. It's rough. All right, so let's move over here to Manny's team. Let's take a look at how his week went. Manny started Jordan Love, CeeDee Lamb, Calvin Ridley, Joe Mixon, Jalen Warren, TJ Hawkinson, Nico Collins, and Josh Reynolds. What did you like from Manny's team?
Not much, man. It's it's tough because I was telling Manny, I believe it was after our draft. I actually drafted one of my teams. Same thing. Actually, I believe I was 4-0. I'm finally gonna have my first loss this week.
Hmm.
Um, I drafted CD Lamb and Nick Chubb too.
Right.
And Nick Chubb is out now. CD Lamb with Dallas, their offense has been really bad without Kellen Moore. You see what that Mike McCarthy offense looks like. Um, I even Tony Pollard doesn't look that great. I mean, he's pretty safe with 15 points, but you're not seeing any ceiling play for your your number one there. So
yeah.
CD Ridley here, or give me Calvin Ridley. I was talking to Manny a couple weeks ago about a trade, and I was looking at maybe trading Amari Cooper for Calvin Ridley, just as a lateral, because just do a sideways trade. And look at this, Ridley goes off. So I mean, they both stepped it up. Ridley looks good. We'll see. Hopefully that continues. I know there was issues with him in press coverage.
Yeah,
having a hard time with separation. Other than that, I would say Nico Collins had a quiet game here. I was expecting more from him, especially when Tank Dell. I traded with Manny, and I ended up picking up Tank Dell just as a desperation with bye weeks.
Yep.
And when Tank Dell went out with a concussion, I was expecting for sure Nico Collins to pick up a lot of usage. And look at this, only 5 points, so nothing there.
Well, this game was weird just in general because
Atlanta.
I don't know what it was. CJ Stroud just couldn't ball out as much as he was able to. So, but yeah, you know what, you're right.
For your bye.
Yeah, you're right. They did play up against Atlanta. They've got a pretty decent defense.
So Atlanta's defense has been playing good, and they like to run it. So, these Atlanta games the pace of the game is a lot more brutal when you're playing against Atlanta. Let's see. Josh Reynolds here, I thought was a pretty good pickup from him. I'm actually looking for Josh Reynolds in a couple other leagues too, especially with Amon-Ra St. Brown out. But other than that, you're looking, for Manny. I traded him Javonte Williams, and right now Jaleel McLaughlin looks pretty decent. But we'll see if Javonte Williams gets healthy. Champagne likes to use two backs.
He does, yeah.
And then the big one here, you're looking for Deontay Johnson to come back.
Yeah.
So if Manny could get Deontay Johnson here, he's still 2-2. He's gonna go 2-3 right now, but you still have a full season. People drop players for bye weeks. People need players with trades. So I mean, we're only 5 weeks in right now. There's plenty of time here.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just a grind.
Definitely, it's just an unfortunately low week for Manny here. Jordan Love not playing so well in tonight's game. Jalen Warren scoring, he outscored his projection, but we're kind of expecting him to overtake Najee Harris anytime.
Yeah, and that's a huge one because I dropped, I dropped Jalen Warren. We're waiting for that, but I needed to make some moves, and I didn't want to drop Jalen Warren. So this one, I think eventually, and Manny's a, Pittsburgh fan.
Yep.
He sees the same thing. We're waiting for this to take over. Joe Burrow looked a lot better. You're just waiting for Mixon to pick up.
Yep. TJ Hawkinson unfortunately had a down week, but he also had points on his stat line, so it's not like he gave you a goose. And then we already talked about Nico Collins having an unfortunate down game, so I think it's just a down week. Unfortunately, Manny comes out with a loss here, and Mikey comes out with the win. What is this? 42 points, roughly, something like that. So hopefully, Manny's team starts to pick it up. This bye week doesn't hurt him too much. He's got a couple players on bye, so they'll be back next week. And hopefully, Manny's team next week can pick it up in his matchup. But other than that, congrats, Mike, for the win. Good luck next week, Manny. Catch you guys in the next one.